I'm project director with Green Learning. We're probably the best kept secret in free environmental online education. And we also run a bunch of exciting and innovative challenges or programs that teachers and their students going to get involved in. We're going to talk today about one of those challenges called Lending a Hand. It's in its 4th year. If Tim and Warren want to jump in and do an introduction, that would be great too.
Hi, everybody. My name is Tim Lindsay. I'm a social studies teacher at McKernan Junior High in Edmonton, Alberta. And I'll be talking a little bit about my experiences with Lending a Hand from last year.
Hello, my name is Warren Lake. I'm a natural sciences teacher at Robert Thirsk High School in Calgary, Alberta. We run a natural science program here from grade 10, 11, and grade 12. And we've built the project into our grade 11 class and turned it into a legacy piece that will just continue year over year and until the next person takes over for me. So yeah, it's been a great thing.
Great. I think maybe what we could do is just launch right in. Tim, if you wanted to sort of jump in there and explain to our audience what the program has been for you in your class.
Sure. So as I said, this is my 2nd year working with Lending a Hand, and it's been a fantastic project for my students. I think the thing that I liked most about this program is that it really creates a sort of a real life application of some of the curricular objectives that we're learning in grade 9 social studies, particularly connecting to our economics unit. So in our economics unit, we're learning a lot about scarcity, and you're talking about scarcity in an academic sense, and then really seeing what it looks like around the world, for people that don't have sources of income that they can, they don't have a bank that they can just go to and borrow money from. Because there's simply not enough capital in that country. I think it really connected with my students. So what we did last year is we decided to go with the Kiva lending company, and on the Kiva site, there's a whole bunch of different categories that you can browse through and look at a whole bunch of different stories of people. We decided to loan to 3 different groups. The first group that we loaned to was a group of goat farmers in Haiti, and basically they were looking for more funds so that they could purchase more goats and basically increase their business that they were doing in their country. And that one actually is the one that we loaned the most to, and it's been less than a year, and they're actually the one that's paid back in full already. So that means that the difference that we and other lenders have made has already paid dividends for them. The second group that we loaned to was an equal opportunities education provider in Pakistan. They were trying to get funding to purchase some space that they could increase the size of their school, and as of right now, that one is 43% repaid. And then the third one that we loaned to was a student who is going to school in Paraguay to become, I believe, an occupational therapist. And basically, when we were deciding who we wanted to loan our money to, it again led to some really fantastic conversations with students where we were saying, okay, why do we want to loan to this one? What are our priorities? Even though we didn't actually raise that much money, and part of that was just because of some growing pains on my front for what's the best way to go about fulfilling all of the objectives of this project. We basically just ran out of time a little bit, but it allowed the students to look at the situation of a bunch of people across the world and ask themselves the question of how can we make the situation for them better. So some of the fundraising ideas that we had that we didn't get to that we're trying to get to this year, some kids wanted to do a sleepathon. Depending on how long we go this year, some kids are already talking about doing a car wash. Some kids are talking about doing a school-wide event, you know, and adding in maybe like last year we did a bake sale, which is kind of like your junior high go-to. We need to get something done right now. So that's where we're at right now. We're actually increasing the program at our school. Last year I was the only class that was doing it. And this year we're expanding to have 2 other grade 9 classes doing it along with us. So I'm expecting that that the results this year will be even better than last year. Do you have any questions or anything you'd like me to speak?
Sorry, Tim, that's great. We'll save some questions to the end. I think I left some space there. Just jumping back and forth may be a little bit difficult. So I'll ask people to hold on and get to the questions at the end. Warren, if you can hold on too, I'd love to get your sort of synopsis of how things went with you last year and your observations of the program. But before I do that, maybe what I should do is just jump in there and describe for our audience a little bit about what that program actually is all about, what the elements are, and what it aims to do for teachers and students. It's so far it's a 4-year program. This is our 4th year running it. The first year was a pilot and quite successful, and we identified a lot of interest from teachers. Second year was sort of getting used to all the different elements and learning. And the 3rd year was getting the program put up online in a microsite that was simple and easy for teachers to use and interactive for teachers to use. So there's a lot of building involved in the first 3 years. And the teachers that we've had involved in Alberta have sort of been pioneers in helping us sort of create something, you know, effective and useful and exciting here. This year, what we wanted to do is build on the work of Alberta and broaden the program to teachers across Canada and students across Canada. So that'll be our challenge and our effort and our sort of our goal to sort of broaden this out to teachers, you know, not just in Alberta, but across the country. The program brings the concepts of lending a hand as opposed to sort of charity, where we encourage students and teachers to raise some money and then to lend it out through microfinancing sites, to use their sustainability filter to sort of identify what the best types of projects and investments would gather the best return, and to understand a little bit about what it is to deliver an a sustainability project, but also to support one, and then to follow and track how that proceeds and how that sort of evolves. There are a bunch of elements in the program. I'll go through them quite quickly. Some of the things and the materials that we've built to sort of make it a little bit easier for teachers and students to do this. So we have a tip sheet so that you don't have to we get to learn from the mistakes of our previous years. We have a teacher and student workbook to sort of collect the data and document the work that's happening. We have data sheets and tracking materials. We even have a mini module that allows you to go in and sort of pick and choose off a menu of projects or parts of the overall project, so that you don't have to do the whole thing sort of linearly from beginning to end. We have a fundraising guide to help teachers and students sort of pick the type of fundraising project that fits their time commitment and their school and their situation. We have a volunteer handbook, and we have a fundraising toolkit. So these are sort of the elements of the program that are available. And then this year we'll run a experts webinar along with this orientation webinar that will be available to anybody who would like to learn about the program. We'll do an experts webinar where we'll have a guest speaker come in from Ghana who is involved in managing some of these micro financing platform. And we'll do an exhibition at the end of the program. So that sort of gives you an idea of sort of where we're going this year. And while I can see Sarah Flynn in the background there, Sarah and her team of fantastic facilitators have helped us over the last couple of years, sort of bringing together the international efforts and the local efforts of the schools to sort of create this sort of fun group and interactive sort of space for us to sort of discuss and learn. Sarah, why don't you jump in there and give us a couple of minutes of your time and experience?
Oh, wonderful. Good to see you guys. Hi, Tim. Hi, Warren. Sorry, I'm just coming in from a video conference and I'll leave again for it. But a great part of Lending a Hand was being able to connect students to the people in the places that they were actually making an impact in. So you have these sort of big databases like Kiva that just seem so impenetrable. Like, how do you make a choice on who to impact? How do you sort through all of these very passionate pleas for funding and know that where you're spending your money and investing as a group is going to make a difference. And so for us, a wonderful thing was being able to connect with service and have them, and then it's with one of the representatives in the country. Was it Ghana, I think? Yes. And them tell the stories of no, this is, like, I think it was one of the women's Letitia or something this is what she did. This is what she got out of benefiting from the program. And this is what your money helped make happen. And hearing that from someone in Ghana makes such a difference than just reading about the impacts that it had through the website itself. So being able to show the students like, no, this is the actual impact it had on her and her children and the time she was allowed to spend with her family and how she was able to grow her business was just like very impactful for the youth, but also being able to see other youth and see what they were doing. So, they chose to, we saw that program, but we decided not to invest in it for this reason, and so hearing each other's choices on who and why they decided to invest in different programs is really, really interesting as well. Because it'd be like, well, why did they use that metric to make a decision over the metrics that we use to make our decision, and what does that say about our community, and what does it say about our school in terms of what we are drawn to as individuals, and what projects we want to support. So I mean, all of those were a lot of very maybe sort of soft learning in the process. It wasn't about the numbers that they learned, but it's amazing how it's sort of multidimensional. It's not just learning about interest rates, right? It's about learning about being a part of this global community and the impact you can have from your home and how it all fits together in that matrix. So for us, it's such a great project to facilitate because the impacts are so multidimensional and teachers are saying like students understand investment and percentage returns in such different ways. And I'm like, that's great. I love how they learned about the social impacts, because that's my cup of tea in particular. But but Mark is the project that Green Learning has is just so wonderful, and we're so happy to be a part of it. So thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. And you can see why, Sarah and her team were such an important part of this project in the past and will be in the future in terms of just the energy and the ability to sort of crystallize some of this academic stuff into sort of real world impacts. It's something that I noticed in the exhibition, that if teachers get a chance, they can go to online and they can see the 45-minute video that we have up there. Sort of helps everyone sort of see how this manifests itself in the real world. So thank you so much, Sarah, for dropping in and saying hello to us, and we look forward to this next year. As Tim mentioned, he's got 3 classes this year, and we're going to be taking this thing national and having participants from across Ontario and Alberta and hopefully BC. And the biggest difficulty there is trying to find a time that we can all meet on the same time zone. But these are challenges we love to have. So again, thank you so much, and we'll be talking again soon. I wanted to jump in there quickly and just articulate the one thing about the program that I think is valuable to teachers before I go to Warren. is sustainability and environmental issues or sustainability per se is often seen, as a green issue. And it's never more clear when it comes to the three pillars of sustainability, which is more than just the environmental pillar, but the social and the economic pillar. It's never more clear when we do a project like this what those pillars actually mean in the real world. And I think the three elements of sustainability are well shown here. And as Sarah pointed out, when you have your classes discussing what sustainability means to them, and then putting their money where their beliefs are, I think that's a special thing and a special opportunity. So that's sort of the pointy end of the spear that we'll be pushing forward with this year, and hoping that we can broaden this to not just hundreds of students, but hopefully even thousands of students, by making it a little bit easier, a little bit less arduous to participate in, and having a bit more opportunity to sort of pick and choose the elements that you want to sort of do, as opposed to that sort of long sort of process that with a beginning and an end, which we want to encourage people to do, but we also want to encourage people to be able to take more smaller bite-sized pieces. Warren, I'd love it if you could take a few minutes and sort of offer your experiences. You've been here for, was it 2 years or 3 years?
Well, this will be the third year that I've done this project, but 6 years with Robert Thirsk. So I actually have done this project probably, it must be close to 15 years now. We jumped on with Kiva almost when they started. I did it out in Canmore when I taught there with as an introduction to the Millennial Development Goals, and thought it was a nice piece to add with biology. When I came to Calgary and opened up the natural science program and saw the opportunity to get back into microloan and microfinance again, it fit really well with the natural science program, which is based on basically huge pillars of sustainability and stewardship. So it's an opportunity for kids to discover their voice in a global issue and in a very global way. It offers up some amazing conversations. So today we just introduced the project using the Sustainability Development Goals, so the SDGs, and had a look at that, and then surrounded the conversation with things like the impacts on sustainability, food security, and how we're going to look at this. And then loans from last week have already been starting to come back and are finished up from last semester's work. So I introduced them to Doris, who was one of the girls that we loaned some money to in Kenya last year. And it basically talked about how the money had helped achieve her goals in that particular place in terms of some seeds that she was looking for, some agricultural outcomes that she was looking for, and really nicely tied into the fact that the money that she was donating, classes just came in somewhere, the opportunity for her to send her kids to school. So really in one fell swoop with one note to the kids today, we were able to look at the loan that was provided to this young lady, was able to tick off 5 boxes in the Sustainability Development Goals. So it matched really well, gave the kids a sense that the project that's coming is something to look for. We focused our attention on kind of agriculture, environmental sustainability projects, energy efficiency. We did a solar oven project a few years ago with a group that turned out amazing. So we were able to look at climate outcomes in that particular one. We're doing our loans much differently now. The kids are looking throughout the semester to loan money. We used to have a loan day where we would do just one day. Now we kind of call it shotgun loans. So literally the kids will come in at the beginning of a class and go, I know somebody, this is a good thing to do. And I pull the class together and stop what we're doing. We gather around a computer. They do an impromptu conversation about that person, and the class makes a decision right at that particular moment. Because it's so fluid and flexible, I found that kids would do research one day and those loans would be satisfied the next, and then they would be stuck. So it's a very impromptu loan process now, and they love it. So I'll be doing loans for weeks now once we get the fundraising aspect, which is the hardest part, is trying to get these kids on the same page in terms of a fundraising goal and outcome. It's been amazing to have service on board and match what the kids are able to do with some of that. And then the legacy piece, this money Well, in the last 2 years, I think right now we're looking at just about $1,200 in the bank that the kids basically have to use, and then that money will grow year over year. So every year, those starting kids coming in will already have a leg to stand on and do some work. So it has been a very powerful stewardship piece with my grade 11s. It does open their eyes, and it does allow them to find some voice that they didn't know that they necessarily had. So
that was wonderful. Just a couple of points to pick up on that on there. I really like the way you sort of deviate a little bit from the sort of linear process of raise the money, make the loan, you know, go through the process, make the loan, and having to wait to get there. This is one of the beauties of, for people who are just coming in and new to this, that because it's a legacy project, the work you did a year ago comes back. And so you start the season with money that you can start lending out before you even start fundraising. And I suspect it's a little bit easier to raise money when you already have some in the pot and you're not starting from zero. So we appreciate that. And I think this is probably the right time to say that we've talked with Service. They're going to be matching funds for all Alberta schools that participate this year. So if you're in Alberta, up to $500, please, you know, spread the word. And bring on anyone you think that could benefit from this, because we'd love to see that participation, you know, expand and grow. I guess the other thing too, because we're getting close to the end here, I wanted to mention that we'll do an experts webinar somewhere down the road when we see how far, you know, we've got in the next month or two. Where we'll bring someone in to sort of talk about the developing world or the different loan systems and priorities and goals. And then at the end, an exhibition of some sort online where people can display and discuss what they did, why they did it, and we will have three prizes, $500 and $250 prizes for schools across Canada. Anyone who participates will be eligible for that. No, the criteria is not finalized yet, but it'll be something based on the different elements of the program, and we'll feed back to the larger group as we go. So that sort of gives everyone an idea. And there's a couple of minutes left. If there's anyone who'd like to ask a question or add anything, I'm going to shut up for a moment. You'd have to go off mute if you wanted to ask a question. Okay, so we don't have any questions. I think that's probably because we did such a fantastic presentation here. We're tracking towards finishing right on time, which is also a good thing, I think. I do want to point out for anyone new to this program, we do have a 45-minute video on our website, on the Lending a Hand module website on our online. And it gives you a really good understanding of the different elements of the program, the participants over the last 3 or 4 years, and some great quotes and ideas. So, you know, feel free to use that. Anybody who signed up, the 11 or 12 people who signed up for the seminar today who couldn't make it, will get a recording of this. And if anybody here wants to spread the word, we can make that recording available so that that first step of, you know, registering and getting involved is easy and simple and can be done on your own time. On that note, I think we can say thank you very much to the teachers who were here today and Sarah, and we look forward to a fantastic semester. Thanks and goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
thank you. Goodbye.